How's it going, everybody? This is Britt, Altizer Lawn and Landscape. I had been looking to add a mini skid steer to our operation for quite some time before I pulled the trigger. I started out renting machines from a local renting company just like everybody does, paying $250, $350 a day, using it for a couple hours and returning it the same day. Some jobs maybe we used it for a few days. It got pretty expensive, and over time, we moved towards wanting to buy one. Obviously, you rent it a couple times a month, you could easily pay a payment. There were a couple options at the time. I believe this was back in 2022 when I purchased this machine. After COVID, you'll remember that things kind of got scarce. So there was a couple options available to me, some used machines that had high hours. Really, that was about it. I called around. Nobody had anything new at the time. And one day I was riding to the rental house to pick up a machine for the day, and I saw two brand new, still in the bubble wrap, Boxer 700 HDX units sitting there. Obviously, I ran inside quickly and was like, hey, can I purchase those machines? At first, they kind of hemmed and hawed and didn't really want to sell them to me. But after some discussion, we worked out a deal, and I purchased a brand new Boxer 700 HDX in December of 2022. I think I purchased the machine for $44,000, I believe, or $42,000 with some financing costs. I remember being all into the machine for about $50K, which is quite expensive for a small machine. That being said, we put the machine into service immediately, and we fell in love with it. It sure beats the heck out of a shovel. I can't say that enough. These machines are quite powerful. You can see in the clips before here that they have a lot of capability. They can move a lot of weight quickly, efficiently. They can get into small spaces, and yeah, just a really great asset for any landscaping company. This video is to map out the good, the bad, the ugly, what we love, what we hate about the Boxer 700 HDX. So we'll start with the good. I talked about it a little bit, but this machine is really capable. It can fit into small spaces. It does a really good job at that. The tracks retract in to the exact width of the body of the unit. I believe the clearance is right out 36 or 34 inches. So there's not many gates that you can't get through. The other things we love about this machine are the overall simplicity of it. It's basically a diesel engine, some hydraulic pumps, some valves. It's not that complicated. Change the oil. Overall, you're going to have some trouble-free use out of it. It comes with a Kubota diesel engine. I believe it's 13 horsepower. No, excuse me. I believe it's mid-20s, like 23 horsepower. The hydraulic flow, I believe, is about 13 gallons per minute. This is sufficient to run all of your normal attachments like brush cutters, augers, 3-in-1 buckets, grapples, things like that. We went actually 2 years before we purchased our first attachment. Well, it's not entirely true. We purchased pallet forks. Other good things about this machine include the simplicity to work on. The tracks are not like larger machines where you have grease fittings and the tracks are tensioned by pressure. They just have a simple bolt that you screw in and out to tension the tracks. They're easy to get on and off overall after you did it a time or two. The grease fittings for the general maintenance are easily accessible. There's no problems there. In addition, the machine's very nimble. When you run the machine with 2 controls in each hand, it's very quick. It will almost throw you off of the machine if you're not paying attention. Especially when you're first learning to run the machines, I really suggest that you take your time, maybe operate it at a lower RPM until you become entirely comfortable. The other things about the machine that we really enjoy is its overall size. The length of the machine is shorter than some of its competitors. The Bobcat, for example, the MT100, is a little bit longer It doesn't make a big difference, but in small spaces, every inch counts. Okay, so now let's move on to the things we don't like about the machine, the bad. Well, the Boxer overall is a good machine. I do want to say that. However, I think if I could say one thing that I hate the most about this machine, and I really think this is the ugly, is the adjustable track system. The adjustable track system serves a great purpose. Obviously, it allows you to get into very, very small spaces. But here's the big problem with the adjustable track system. When I got the machine new from the factory, it worked fine. Within about 200 hours, I noticed that as the tracks would close, they would either angle, close at different rates. One would close entirely first, and then the other one would close after. It just didn't work quite right. It was like it was never lined up perfectly from the factory. There was no adjustments. The bolts fit where they go. The sleeves in which hold the tubes that they slide in and out are welded in place. There's nothing you can do to align it, adjust it, or make any changes. That part really perplexed me. Needless to say, we just kept using it. We used it. Well, after that 200-hour mark, we started breaking track retention bolts. They're these, I don't know, bolts about that size. They're maybe 3/4 of an inch. They're a fairly large grade 8 bolt. There's 2 on each side. When the tracks expand, they hit the bolts and they stop. If they weren't there, the tracks could essentially just fall off, and they will, which it's happened to us. That's not a lot of fun. I don't recommend that. We replace these bolts repetitively. And when I say we replace these bolts, I literally am still returning them where I kept them in the door of the truck so that we could quickly swap them out when needed. And they're about $30 a piece from the dealer. Not cheap. I don't know why they're so expensive, but it is what it is. Well, after doing this for a long time, we started noticing some other issues. Eventually, the track frame in which the sleeve, for lack of better words, is connected to, it broke out 3 additional bolts that hold the track to that sleeve. Well, we thought it'd be simple. We went and bought some bolts, measured everything up. You know, as always, it never breaks down in a good spot. It broke down right in front of a client's garage on a big steep hill where we couldn't get to it with a rollback or anything else, so we started wrenching. We thought we had it fixed. We were thinking this is going to be a quick couple-hour repair, we'll be back on our way. Well, when we started trying to put the bolts in, we realized that nothing lined up. That was when the frustration started. The bolts just wouldn't go back in. They were just bent. The track frame was just bent enough that the bolts didn't fit. And eventually we were able to get 2 of them in, but the front one just wasn't happening. It wasn't going to happen. It wasn't lined up, not even close. So we operated it like that. And that worked for a while until the other side did the exact same thing. Those bolts broke out of the track frame, and same exact thing. We can only get 2 of the 3 back in. In this next clip, I'm going to show you a little bit what I'm talking about, where you can actually see this and understand it better. This is definitely my biggest gripe with the 700 HDX. Alrighty, so in this clip, you will see as you look down the track frame that it's quite bent. You see it right there? Yeah, so that's the problem. As those chrome shafts slide in and out of the machine, if they don't slide in perfectly correct, they put a lot of tension on that track frame. That's where all the issues starts. Well, we got frustrated with this. As you can see, we got it up on blocks. We decided to take matters into our own hands, and we decided that a fixed width machine would work better for us. So what we did was we got everything back up there as close as we could, and we welded everything solid. We disconnected the hydraulic control for the track system, and now we have a fixed width machine. Good and bad. No longer getting through 34-inch gates, but the headache has subsided for the most part. Overall, the machine is a decent machine. I don't want to give it a terrible rap, but I don't think I would buy another one. That's my review on the Boxer 700 HDX.